Michael Warren with Brick City Interactive. At Brick City, we've been putting the web to work for businesses since 1998. We want to help you too, whether you're a real estate office, law office, medical office, manufacturer, retailer, a church, even a radio station like WOCA. We love to help businesses grow, and we have the knowledge and experience to make it happen. We offer professional, affordable web design, mobile responsive websites, search engine optimization, social media marketing, web video and promotions, online advertising, and more. Whether it's time for a redesign or whether you want to kickstart your existing website, let us help. Mention WOCA and we'll give you a free, no-obligation search engine optimization report for your website. This free report will give you practical steps to increase your search ranking. It's our gift to you from Brick City Interactive. Call us today at 352-351-1131 or visit us online at brickcity.com.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. When you hear people's life stories, it's always amazing to me. I've always been a fan of biographies, and I think this is more of a memoir than a biography or an autobiography, and I guess there's a fine line between the two. Emil DeAndreis is on the phone. I may have mispronounced his name. He teaches writing and coaches baseball at San Mateo College in California. He was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 23 when he was set to pitch professionally in Belgium. He's the coach of his alma mater, the Lowell High School Cardinals in San Francisco, California, and the city champions for 4 years in a row. His book is called Hard to Grip. It's a memoir of youth, baseball, and chronic illness. Emil DeAndreis, good morning, sir. Thank you for being on our show.
How we doing, Larry?
Pretty good. Are you in San Francisco right now?
I am.
Well, thank you for getting up early to be with us. How long ago were you? Did you miss out on the opportunity to play in Belgium?
That was in 2008 when I got my diagnosis. It was about a month after I had thrown my last pitch in college. So I was fresh off of my senior season and, feeling pretty physically good. And when I arranged the contract to go pitch in Belgium, I thought I knew what I would be doing for the next, handful of years as a professional baseball player. And then a month later, as a 23-year-old, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh my gosh! What were the symptoms? And did they come on right away, or had they been like bubbling under the, bubbling in the background?
So I hadn't ever really played through any of the symptoms before. In high school, I had some interesting phantom swellings, but they would appear and disappear almost in the same day, almost as if they didn't happen. So I never really thought too much of them. And in college, they disappeared entirely. So I was actually able to play a pretty, continuous sort of baseball career. And then a month after, I started to have, it started with like an odd sense, like a burning sensation in my left elbow. I was a lefty, so my pitching arm, a burning sensation in my elbow. Was like someone was holding a candle to my arm. And this would happen when I was just sitting down watching TV. I wasn't engaged in any physical activity. And so I didn't really think anything of it initially, because when you pitched your whole life and you're used to throwing the baseball every day, like naturally little things you're gonna feel little twinges and little sensations that don't feel right. And usually they go away after a little bit of running and jogging and sweating it out and stuff like that. So that's what I thought it would be, but it didn't go away. And in this case, it started to spread to my knuckles of my pitching hand and to my right wrist, to the wrist of my other hand. So it was something completely different. And the sports doctor gave me cortisone initially, but then once he started to see it spread, he knew that this was something different.
Wow. Can you help us understand what it is? What is rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition. So it leads to swelling and eventual deterioration of your joints. common joints are like the ankle and your knuckles and your wrist and your knee and stuff like that. But rheumatoid arthritis, it can affect weird things. It can affect your hair follicles. It can affect your lungs and your internal organs and stuff as well. I'm fortunate that I don't really experience that, but it can go beyond the joints. But typically rheumatoid arthritis is like the joints. It's like regular arthritis, except you don't have to have ever done anything to your joint to have rheumatoid arthritis. Like,
I gotcha. Okay.
Like in osteoarthritis, the kind of arthritis everybody thinks of, usually like you've spent your whole life as like a mover, and then you have arthritis in your back, or you've spent your life playing tennis and you have arthritis in your elbow, something like, or you've spent your life, typing for a company and you have arthritis in your fingers,
Right.
But rheumatoid arthritis, it just visits you. It just shows up. Your body invents it because, as an autoimmune condition, basically your immune system confuses your own body as an enemy, and it attacks your own body as if it were an enemy. So that's how it works. So
you were forced to not pursue baseball as a professional career as a player anyway, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, the disease came on quick within a month or two of my diagnosis, and in my book, I go through this. In those first couple months of diagnosis, I was in denial, and they prescribed me these medications. And because I was in denial, I refused to take the medications, because if I took the meds, that would be sort of acknowledging that I indeed had a disease,
right.
And so I put off the meds for a while, and in those couple months, the disease advanced pretty rapidly. And so in the span of like 3 months, I was a I was a Division I baseball player. I got a professional baseball contract, and then I was a cripple. All pretty quick.
Gosh. And had you taken the medicine, would that not have happened?
No, I don't. Well, I'll never know. But the way I understand rheumatoid arthritis is that it's never. Well, some people are lucky enough, and it goes into complete remission. But I haven't really talked to too many like athletes who are competing and pushing their body to the absolute limit, who have said that their rheumatoid arthritis was ever completely gone, because I would need my body to be at 100% to be able to do what I was going to have to do, pitching out there. And so the meds have made me able to function, not without much pain. Like, I can do normal stuff. I can go on a jog. I can lift some weights. I can do stuff that allows me to feel like a normal human being. But I don't know if the meds would have prevented it from completely taking over my body.
And probably one of the reasons you were in denial is that when you're an athlete, you're at the top physical shape that you can be. I mean, gosh, you eat right, you take care of your body, you exercise, you have a great outlook on life. And then for something like this to happen, I can understand why there would be a denial factor there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and another reason why, what added sort of a layer of complexity to this denial was the fact that rheumatoid arthritis also statistically is an old woman's disease. Like if you look at the statistics of who has rheumatoid arthritis, who typically gets it, it's women in menopause. So now you have a 23-year-old man in the physical prime of his life, not only being told that he's having sort of a crippling disease, but it's a disease that by no means should have ever entered the equation, because, I'm a young man and it's an old woman's disease. So that also added to the denial.
Oh, wow. So I don't know if this is going to jump too far to the future, but if we could just talk about it now, because that was 9 years ago. Do you look back on the past 9 years, and are there any things that have been blessings that wouldn't have happened, ironically, if it weren't for the disease? Do you have blessings? In other words, are there parts of your life right now that you're very happy happened, and they wouldn't have happened had it not been for the disease?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I choose to look at it this way, and I don't even think it's me being sort of delusionally optimistic or anything like that. There are some things that have happened in the last 9 or 10 years that wouldn't have happened, I think, if I played professional baseball. One of them is, I met my wife in college. I met my to-be wife in college in an English class, and then if I was to go to Belgium, and when we fell in love really quick, and then we sort of, when I got that contract, there was going to be some it wouldn't have been very easy to keep the relationship going because we've only been together for like a half a year.
Right.
And we'd be separated for, months at a time, and that would have just gotten really hard. And so the disease actually allowed us to sort of stay in touch and stay together, and now we're married happily.
Wow.
And another thing, obviously, is that I started to write a lot, and in writing in the last 9 years, I've been able to publish 2 books and a bunch of short stories, and that really makes me happy. So I wasn't unable to play baseball or continue to play baseball, but I did find, because basically when I got rheumatoid arthritis, there was very little I could physically do in those first months, and I had to start thinking about, what kind of job am I going to do? And how am I going to continue? I mean, I still have so much life left ahead of me. I got to move on somehow. So I got to figure out, what makes me happy and what will make me happy, and what can I do for a job and stuff like that. And so one of the things that sort of stimulated me and challenged my mind in a similar way to how baseball always had was writing. Because I as a pitcher, I was a lefty, and I only threw like 82 miles an hour, and so I wasn't getting by throwing gas. I had to be more of a cerebral kind of person. I kind of had to. There's some strategy involved when you don't throw very hard as a pitcher, and so that sort of psychological mind exercise was definitely something I was very accustomed to. And so when all of a sudden baseball was gone, I needed something to offer me that challenge, and writing was something that I could A, physically do, and B, enjoy as a challenge. So without it,
But if you had the time machine and you could go back to the 15-year-old that you were once upon a time, I'm guessing you wouldn't tell your younger self to get off of that track. I'm sure you would want your old self to stay on track, even knowing that you would end up with the rheumatoid arthritis blockade that happened for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel actually so lucky that that this disease didn't happen before college, because it was really a dream of mine to play Division I college baseball. And my book gets into sort of how much of a challenge that can be for a kid who throws, low 80s. And so the book delves a lot into the personal sort of challenges of becoming a college athlete, and that sort of psychology that is present in a kid who really has his mind set on something. And so having that opportunity was really, really important. And I wouldn't trade those days that I pitched in the University of Hawaii, and I wouldn't trade those days with my teammates out there for anything. I had such a blast out there, and it was such an eye-opening experience just being in Hawaii, in a different culture, and also being able to play some really, really good baseball teams out there, and experiencing like a pretty heightened levels of success and defeat. And so I think I'm definitely a stronger person from my college experiences. And if I was going to talk to my 15-year-old self, I would definitely tell him, you got a very colorful road ahead of you, but enjoy it.
And your book is very uplifting. It's not a feel sorry for me kind of a book, and it's also laced with humor. I mean, you're a humorist as well.
Yeah, well, that was, I think in retrospect, I've asked myself why I wrote the book in such a humorous tone and made such light out of kind of such a dreary circumstances. And I think now I sort of understand why I did that. And I think at the time that I was writing it, I was going through these things and writing about them humorously and finding a way to look at them so that you could make someone find humor in it was a way for me to sort of get through it as well. And so, I really, the topic is a little bit dreary. It's a career lost to a disease, but most of these stories are supposed to make people laugh, and that's what I've heard they do.
Yeah. The part of the book that kind of illustrates a little bit about your wife at that time, I mean, she's got, her memoir would be fascinating as well. It sounds like she was willing to let you go. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, right, man, so much was going on right at the point of diagnosis. And one of the things was me thinking about this girl that I had completely fallen head over heels for in my senior year of college, and how this would all shake out, because she was swiftly becoming someone that was very, very important in my life. And baseball was, if we could consider baseball an identity, baseball was someone who had been important in my life since I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
And so it was really, really complex. But what made it even more complex was the fact that her name is Kendall. Kendall said, if you ever turn down a professional baseball opportunity to be with me, I would break up with you.
Yeah.
And it's just like such a weird.
Yeah.
It was just such a weird contradiction. It was almost like a paradox. It like makes me dizzy to even think about, because the girl that you would struggle to lose, you will lose if you don't leave her or something. Like, really bizarre. It doesn't even make sense. But what was at the heart of that is her selflessness.
That right there, oh my gosh, you really do have a great lady, and it sounds like she's got a great guy too. The sentence I wanted to read was this: she actually lived as Jesus told people to live, which in my experience never happened. Yeah, mine too. Nobody ever does that. They'll say they'll say they do, but so she does it. And I'm guessing that was important to you. Well, it's important to everybody. So I don't know. That was a dumb thing for me to say, but
one of the oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's what, like you asked earlier. What are some of the things that have been shining as a result of getting this disease? And that is one of them.
Since you are a coach for your high school alma mater and a coach of college students, you really have something unique to bring to them, because you see that hunger in most of their eyes that this is what they want to be. They want to be a professional ball player, and they don't want anything else. But then you also enlighten them to the chance that something might happen totally unexpected, where they would have to regroup and have another interest. So you're giving them a heads up, so they have that kind of interest in the back of their mind before something happens.
Yeah, I kind of let my disease and my experience sort of speak for itself. I don't really necessarily preach to them. Like in a almost threatening way, like, you need to love every minute on the baseball field because you never know if you get a disease like I've got. That isn't necessarily my approach, because I just think guys would be like, yeah, right, dude, I'm not getting this disease that you got. Like, it sucks for you, but the likelihood is that I'm not. But I do use all of my experiences to sort of prioritize their understanding that high school baseball and just being able to play baseball at their age is really a cherishable experience, whether or not they're going to go on and get a disease, whether or not they're going to go on and play in college or professional. And another reason, and I was just talking to my friend about this last night, so my catcher in high school was named Charlie Cutler, and he plays a prominent role in this book because he was really good too, and he got a scholarship out of high school to go to Cal Berkeley. He played there for 4 years. He got drafted by the Cardinals and played in the minor leagues for 4 different teams over the course of 8 years. And so, for all intents and purposes, kids, and we're growing up and we're imagining, like, full count, bottom of the ninth, World Series, you're up at the plate. Like, that's the kind of thing you imagine as a kid, and he got to, he came a lot closer to that than anyone could ever imagine. And so, he often talks about, and it's interesting coming from him because he got to play professional baseball. He often talks about how the most precious times he's ever had on a ball field, where it was literally just about your friends, your brothers, the game itself, working to winning, was in high school. And so, and I often tell my guys that because the assumption is that he's the one living the dream, and he's telling them, "Oh, that's awesome. You guys are living the dream." So that is kind of the approach I have with them. Is, you know what? No matter what happens to you, at some point baseball is going to be gone.
Do you play for fun? Do you ever play for fun, like at a picnic or something like that? Do you still play?
What's fun for me is I'll throw batting practice. And because batting practice is only about 30 feet away. If I got 60 feet away and I was on a mound, it just would feel too weird to not be able to throw like I used to. Because then, once you're stepping on a rubber on an elevated mound, all these memories flood back in, and all these sensations flood back in. Like you're actually in the heat of a battle. I've started to learn that, and so if I'm not on the mound like that, and I'm just 30 feet closer with a screen in front of me, I can sort of I can have some fun, and I can just refresh my little arm slot and throw some BP and stuff. So I like doing that, but I don't pitch competitively, because it's like, if you can't, at least for me, and other people might be different, but if I can't do it at the capacity that I once could, I kind of don't want to be up there kind of flubbing it.
It's a great metaphor, and I love baseball euphemisms. Is that what you call them when you use he's hit a home run, that kind of a thing? Mm-hmm. Hard to grip. Hard to grip is the title of the book. It is the memoir of Emil DeAndreis. I wanted to tell you something that came to mind. It's this: that you had the talent. But there are a lot of people, whether it's baseball or music or anything, and they're passionate about it. I can't tell you how many guys I know that had a passion for baseball, but they just didn't have what it takes to become professional. So they never even got to the point you got to, but they still had to become something. And at this point in their lives, because I'm 62, so most of my friends are all my same age, but they've done things in their lives that are just as rewarding and just as fulfilling, even though they never did that dream. Now, at least one of them makes enough money that he can go to baseball fantasy camp. So that so he takes care of his longing that way. But I think the book speaks to those people and helps them realize, my life is okay. Even though I didn't get my dream, my life is okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm still relatively young, and I think I have a ton to learn about life, and I don't have a child yet, and there's so many life experiences that I've not had yet. But I do think that at least throughout the experiences I've had, and some of which are quite unique, the key is to just find something that occupies your mind. It doesn't necessarily have to always be easy or always make you happy, but it has to always be challenging you. Yeah. And I think that's I might be that way just because I was always a pretty goal-oriented person myself. Like, I always had my eyes set on something that I wanted to get at, and for a long time that was college baseball. And so everything I did, I thought of that end result. And so but it's the journey that occupies you, and it's the journey to that end result that keeps you engaged and happy, I think, ultimately, and stimulated. And so I think whatever it is, if it's baseball fantasy camp or if it's writing or whatever, finding something to provide that for you is what would keep you going.
And you don't live in a me world. You are a cheerleader for others. You're a cheerleader for Kendall. You're a cheerleader for the students that you coach and mentor. I mean, gosh, you are really grateful for the reciprocity in life, and that's the way things get done and people get accepted.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, just a couple days ago, one of our seniors on the team that I coached got a scholarship to University of the Pacific, which is a Division I school in a little bit in Central California, and that's like the happiest I've felt around baseball, this year or in a while. It's like one of the coolest experiences I can have now is to get to know a guy for 4 years and get to understand that this guy is as committed as anyone else I know, and it's hard coming from from San Francisco, the actual city itself, to get people recruited. It's not the most talented athletically area, and so it doesn't get much notoriety in the athletics world. So whenever we get an opportunity to send a kid somewhere on scholarship at the Division I level, it's really, really important. So yeah, I really happy for me.
I just looked you up on Amazon. I looked the book up. You have 9 5-star reviews, and they're, in other words, all 5-star reviews, customer reviews. The things people are saying, we kind of didn't focus on the funny. Robin did mention it. but you've got some humor in here, and I think it's really going to speak to the person who just wants to find out for themselves that, you know what, my life can be enjoyable even if I can't have that dream that I thought I was going to have one time. I like the fact that they're playing on words with here. This book themes will hit home with anyone who's ever played on a competitive sports team. This is a funny, insightful story, will be compelling to a wide range of readers. I agree. So I see you can get it on Amazon. Do you have a website for yourself, Emil?
Yeah, it's my author website is facebook.com/Emil DeAndreis author. It's EmilDeandreis author.com. Yeah.
Okay.
On Facebook.
Emil, thank you for being on the air with us, and give our regards to San Francisco.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, we will be right back.
News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Some Democratic senators promising pushback against the GOP-backed healthcare bill, which cleared the House Thursday.
Senator Tim Kaine is upset the House passed the bill without seeing a new score from the Congressional Budget Office.
They rushed through a bill without knowing how many millions of people it would hurt.
House Speaker Paul